Alright boys, so today I have another Warlock build for you guys. I know, don't hate me, I am a Warlock main, I can't help it. But if you were fortunate enough to get the new Warlock exotic to drop Fallen Sunstar, and if you bought the season, you should have the new season pass fusion rifle, Delicate Tomb. These two exotics, I feel like they were made for each other. The synergy is crazy with these two exotics, so I made a build around it, and I want to jump right in so I can explain how this all works. Alright boys, so for this build, I highly recommend using pulse grenades, and I'll get to why in just a second. Now aspects, we're using lightning surge and electrostatic mind. Now you can also sub out lightning surge for arc soul, but I want to be the one getting the kills. I'm not too much of a fan of having just a turret just getting the kills for me, and getting these kills on these jolted enemies is how I'm going to make my build function. So if the arc soul just kills the enemies and they're not jolted, kind of takes away the synergy from this build. But if you want to use arc soul, you're more than welcome to. It'll work just fine. So the reason why I really recommend pulse grenades is because we're using spark of shock. Your arc grenades jolt targets, and pulse grenades immediately cause damage. As soon as you throw it and they land, they are instantly activated and they start jolting enemies. And when you defeat a jolted enemy, you get an ionic trace. And the way that the fusion rifle works, it functions off of ionic traces. So there's a really good synergy right there, as well as the new Warlock exotic helmet. It makes the ionic traces even better. So I'll get to that in just a moment. So we're using spark of shock, spark of discharge, spark of beacons, and spark of magnitude. With the new fusion rifle and spark of discharge, you have a chance to create 2 ionic traces from 1 kill. And with the new Warlock exotic helmet, those ionic traces will give you more ability energy, so you can get easily over half your ability energy from just picking up those 2 ionic traces or having them tracked to you. And while I'm amplified, my arc special weapon final blows will create a blinding explosion. So not only am I going to jolt enemies with the fusion rifle, I'm going to blind them as well, or any surrounding enemies. They're going to become blinded and then eventually die because of the jolting. And spark of magnitude makes my pulse grenades just linger for longer, so it's more enemies that it'll jolt and just do more damage over time. So the most important weapon for this build is a new arc exotic fusion rifle, Delicate Tomb. Now this is in the season pass. As soon as you buy this season, you will get this fusion rifle. It comes with the intrinsic trait Trader's Vessel. Fires a wide horizontal spread when shot from the hip. Final blows with this weapon have a chance to generate ionic traces. Powerful foes and opposing guardians always generate ionic traces. And it also comes with the weapon perk Tempest Cascade. Collecting an ionic trace overcharges weapon's next shot, jolting targets on hit. So you can see the immediate synergy with Arc Warlock, generating all those ionic traces from defeating jolted enemies. Collecting all of those ionic traces will overcharge this fusion rifle, making it jolt on hit, and as well as give me extra ability energy from using the new Warlock exotic helmet. The synergy is just absolutely insane here, and I'm loving this fusion rifle. This is skyrocketing, and it might become my new favorite fusion rifle. Now there is a catalyst, and I believe that the catalyst has a chance to reload the magazine upon picking up a ionic trace, but I'm not too sure. The quest is bugged right now, so I haven't been able to grind it out, and it's a lot of grinding. So the catalyst will just make this build even better. I don't think it's necessary for this build though. As for your other weapons, you can use whatever you want. I just happen to choose a primary weapon with Demolitionist just in case I'm not able to generate an ionic trace or I run out of grenade energy and I'm kind of just sitting there waiting for my grenade to come back. I'm able to generate grenade energy from using my primary weapon if I'm out of special. So since Arc Warlock and Arc Titan are both bugged right now, having 100 resilience, the game doesn't register the fact that you have that, and it doesn't give you any damage resistance bonuses, so it's like you have 0 and you're extremely fragile and squishy when using Arc Warlock. So with that in mind, we're just going to go for 100 recovery, 90 discipline, and 50 strength. Obviously with this build I'm going to generate a lot of ability energy, so I would actually rather go for the 100 resilience, but since it's not working, this is what I'm going to do instead. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I am using the new Warlock exotic Fallen Sunstar. This exotic is actually crazy. This is going to be my go-to whenever I decide to use Arc Warlock. And this grants you the armor perk Ionic Conductor. Ionic traces you create move faster and grant you additional ability energy. Nearby allies also gain ability energy when you collect an ionic trace, so it has offensive capabilities because you're getting bonus ability energy from those ionic traces and they move faster. And then it has a support aspect to this exotic because nearby allies also gain ability energy whenever you collect an ionic trace. So this has two sides to this, it has the supportive and the offensive capabilities, and it's just a really good exotic and it looks wild, it looks really cool, so this is definitely going to be my go-to now. Now moving on to the mods, I am using Bountiful Wells, Seeking Wells, 2 stacks of elemental ordnance, and heavy-handed. Now bountiful wells will allow me to create more elemental wells whenever I get a grenade kill, which is why I'm stacking 2 elemental ordnance mods, and seeking wells will make those elemental wells just track to me just for ease of use, and I don't want to have to constantly be running around and collecting these elemental wells. I'm going to be generating a lot of them, and they're kind of just going to like spray out everywhere, so I want them just to track to me, and it makes it very, very nice to use. And the main reason we're using heavy-handed is for that secondary perk on it. So you have to have another arc mod on the same armor piece that it's slotted into, or have another arc charger light mod in a different combat socket in another armor piece. So you kind of have some flexibility there, but I am socketing this on my legs, so I'm just using invigoration with it just to proc that secondary perk on this mod. And what this does is it states that while surrounded by multiple combatants, defeating a combatant with a fusion rifle, shotgun, sidearm, or SMG adds ammo for that weapon to your reserves. And I want to use my fusion rifle a lot for this build. This is going to be my main weapon for this build. So using this will just make special ammo just poof out of thin air, and I have extra fusion rifle ammo, so I can just use it for longer while surrounded. And ARC 3.0 is all about being surrounded by enemies, being in the fray of the fight. So I'm literally just using this mod for that secondary perk, and it's actually fantastic. You don't even realize how often it procs until you're like, damn, I didn't even switch off my fusion rifle until the end of the fight, or like at the very like when there was one enemy left or something like that. Like this mod procs very often. All right, boys, so there you have it. There is the build. Hopefully Arc Warlock and Arc Titan get fixed very soon, because having no damage resistance, it just feels really bad, especially when Arc is all about rushing in, holding W, as the devs say, and right now you can't do that because you don't have any damage resistance. So this build is built the way it is. Because of that, I would definitely rather have much higher resilience than having like the high discipline or something, or the high strength. But it is what it is. This is what we have, and I hope you guys enjoy this build. Deuces.